Nice. Well, why don't we get started? I guess I was thinking a couple of people said they were going to show, haven't, but um, so thanks for showing up. I know some of you have been here. We do this kind of 3 times a year as people are getting ready for the CFP exam. And really, Nadesh, as we talked about, this is really, it applies to kind of anything any curriculum you're studying, you know what I mean? And then use of OneNote is just organization. It was Carrie I was chatting with, she reminded me of my 8th grade English teacher who I was like smoking that class, but the teacher said, he's not that smart. It's just he's got great organization skills. it, was pretty funny, but it was true. Well, hey, Trang, since you're the most recent CFP passer, do you want to share about your experience and the fact that you've taken it more than once? I think that, and Brian, that goes in because this test sucks. I mean, it's 6 hours and 40 minutes. It's 170 questions. It's really broken down basically into 4 exams because you have 85 questions on the first half, 85 on the second half, but in each of those you have 3 hours, and then you have a 40-minute break, really like a 25-minute, because you have to get wanded and metal detect, and get back in. But you really have 43 questions, and then you have to submit, cannot return to those questions, and then do another 42 questions in that 3-hour block. So you got to be time conscious the entire time. Same thing on the second half. So, but that was just a quick summary of the format of the exam. Trang, do you mind sharing? By the way, congratulations, Trang's a recent mother. But not only a CFP passer, but
Congrats.
Thank you. She'll join us in a bit. She's quiet right now, but I'll bring her over when she starts crying. So yeah, so I think I joined this group like a year and a half ago because I was trying just to pass, but my thing that really helped, as you said, like I think I did a lot of mock exam. I purchased like 3 mock exams on CFP board, and just going through, like once I took it, I was like, having baby interrupting me, and then I need to use the restroom. So then that really sets you up for, oh, if there's, like only an hour and I have like 30 more questions left, like what do I do? But because of the mocks, I realized I can still get it done. I just need to read faster and trust my instinct. So that was a big deal, like just going through the materials like one by one, and going through the mock, just go through all the materials. The first couple of times I did it, I always ran out of time and all that. I also took like 4 weeks, like not non-interrupted, not doing anything, to just before the exam, just to go through it, take notes, and just make myself comfortable with the materials.
good. I want to point out a couple of things she said. One, trusting your instinct. Unless you know for absolute certain that you got the question wrong, don't change the answer. We probably all of us have done this before, where we second guess ourselves and then we get something wrong. So go with it and keep moving on. If you don't know for certain, answer it and flag it and move on, because you don't have that. You can easily run out of time. The second thing was time off. She took 4 weeks off. I think that's great. I'd say at least take a week. That last week, it depends on your situation, but you need uninterrupted focus and that CFP to be the only thing, in my opinion, that lasts as you're, getting ready to prepare for the exam. Anything else, Trang, you want to mention? Brian, you want to say anything as well?
Yes, I want to see the baby.
Yeah.
Oh, adorable. Adorable.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that reminds me of someone told me years ago, don't tell me about the labor pains, just show me the baby. It's kind of the same thing for the CFP. Is I don't even remember half of the pains, right? I mean, I don't know what motherhood is like, but I'm sure that you probably still remember the labor pains and all that. stuff, but over time you don't really remember it too much. You just remember the baby, right? It's kind of the same thing. And now the only first of all, I want to say thank you to Alan for doing this. It really turned my study time around. I started dedicating early morning hours. I got really serious about studying, but I think the major shift for me was I've been in the business for 30 years and just recently got the CFP. And for many years, lots of people, oh, you don't need that. I don't have it. I make lots of money. You don't need to make lots of money and so on. And I felt an urge to get it. And when I got it, just like every other professional exam, I was able to cut corners and still pass. I was able to, not put my all into it and still pass the exam, but not the CFP. And I was rushing through my studies. It wasn't until I turned the corner and said, I'm really doing this so that I can better serve my clients, and I want to learn the material. Of course, pass the exam, but the goal before was just pass the exam. Who cares about the material? And instead, it became I care more about the material than I do the credentials. So if that helps, and then I poured a ton of time into it as opposed to trying to shortcut it.
Yeah, no, I think that's an important point. There's so much material. You really have to be going after lifelong learning, in rather than just looking for some numbers, letters behind your name. And that's the whole point of being a CFP anyway, is being a fiduciary, like the ethical guidelines that surround our profession is I think it's great. And I'm glad the exam's actually hard, because otherwise anybody can do it. I remember, I don't know if you guys have seen like Global Financial Impact, kind of one of those MLMs is my understanding, but they had a LinkedIn post and it talked about, yeah, we'll get you certified. And then it's all, up to what you want to do. And we can get you licensed in 11 days. 11 days? What the hell do you know in 11 days? That's freaking ridiculous, and shows what they know, which is nothing. And that's why I think it's good that the CFP exam does have just a 60 to 65% pass rate. It should be hard, because otherwise anybody could just do it. And it does take effort, but it's really got to be about wanting to know them, learn the material to best serve your clients, is I think the best approach. And I love that you shared that, Brian. Marie, I saw you came in a little bit late. Trang had just expressed, she just passed in November. So she was talking, she was doing that while she just had delivered her first baby. And so I can't imagine. I thought I had some challenges. Wow. That's amazing. But
yeah, well, to the point that Brian said, like, I really got to really enjoy the materials. And I've been in industry for 15 years, and I was cutting corners. And then the 766, I just did a question bank and I passed it. So I thought I could do it with this one. That's why I failed twice, 3 times actually. And this is my fourth time. So you only have 5 times to take it. So that was like my last straw. But also having the baby like grounded me to stay home. Like I had to stay home and study. So you really know who I am. Like I always go out, like being an advisor, you just network, talk to people all the time. But then I was grounded just to stay home during that time.
excellent. Yeah, that's true. And I think if people have taken the Series 7, et cetera, if you Google the difference between those, they're like, that's series whatever is elementary versus, the CFP, which is, graduate level kind of. So it's probably that's probably a bad thing if people have passed like the SIE and these series exams and they have this overconfidence going to the CFP, because it's a whole different game. But Marie, a couple things. I think you came in right as I was pointing out a couple things I like Trang talked about. One is you're sticking with your first instinct. Don't change your answer unless you absolutely know. Sometimes I did see like a question though later that would remind me like, oh wait, I screwed that up. And I might, if I flagged it, then good. But don't change your first instinct. It's most likely right. All of us have done that, but don't. But you got to move So answer the question and flag it and move on if you're not certain. The second thing she said is taking time off. And just like she said, she was, grounded with the baby. She took 4 weeks where she was at home, kind of forcing herself to study. But if you can take at least minimum 3 days a week off of your day job, do it, because you need to be just ready, just focused just on the CFP and not have any other distractions. Anything else, or I'll start going through kind of my approach and then get into OneNote as well, because OneNote is what I found is a completely effective tool for organization.
You obviously are recording this. You'll post this in the.
And I'll put, exactly. I'll post this, in the Facebook group, and I'll just on my, it'll be on my YouTube page as well. So, I guess as you guys, Angela probably bore you. You've heard this before, but like first, as you can tell already, there's no easy button for the CFP exam. It's brutal. And one of the things I learned in the military was, we train constantly. You're constantly drilling. And why do you do that? Because when shit hits the fan, you don't rise to some Superman level. You fall to your level of training. And that's the same thing for the CFP exam. So you've got to study it and make sure you know it as well as possible, because you're not going to learn things on the exam. I did that in college sometimes where I'm like, oh, I got to no, don't do that. It's like nuclear power was the same way. You just did not have time. So you needed to know everything as cold as you could. The other thing is, though, every question is worth the same amount. So that super hard question that like 10% of people maybe get right is worth just as much as that relatively easy question. Not that there's many of them, but and that's important to know. So it's important to answer all the questions, because every question, every answer matters, and it matters the same amount. First question, is everybody comfortable using your calculator, or who's not comfortable? If not, you have to be completely comfortable. The math problems are actually the easy problems. When you're first studying, they seem like they're kind of hard, but actually they're elementary in a sense once you get moving. So but you have to make sure you're comfortable with your calculator, and then that begin end mode, which can always kick everybody's butt. That, so make sure you're very comfortable. I use the HP 10 BII plus, which is, that's what they used at the American College. And it's, I still use it to this day. Guess what I did? I bought a second calculator just in case. I put new batteries in, and then I bought a second one. I returned it. But could you imagine you're sitting there about, a third of the way in the exam and your calculator dies? Totally not worth the risk. So I went in with 2 separate HP calculators, both with fresh batteries. That way there was the chances of me losing a working calculator was basically zero. But I would do that as well, because it's just, there's certain things, like there's enough risk. There's things to just not let it even be a stress. And so that even if it cost me $25, it was worth it, but I just returned it, it's no big deal. Let's see. Okay. I'm not sure what course everybody's using. I know, I used the Dalton prep course, and I actually did the guaranteed to pass version, which I didn't realize it until I was really taking it, but you pay extra for that. But there's a 50 question exam readiness, I think it is, right within about a month of taking the actual official exam that you take. It's they just have a schedule, like four days or something that you can take it, and it's only 50 questions, but it's their best metric of how you're going to do on the exam. And this is from years and years of studies they have. Then the practice exams aren't actually good metrics of whether you're going to pass the exam. It's the exam readiness. But to get the guarantee to pass, meaning if you did fail, you would get the course over again. You had to score a 70 on the exam, and the probability of passing is 99% if you got a 70 on that exam. And I'm kind of like, oh, that's kind of BS. So once I've guaranteed that I'm going to pass, you'll guarantee that I have passed, you know, like, but anyway, just for people, you know, when you're looking to go study, you know, you do get extra videos and things like that though. So I was fine with it, but anyway, you kind of already make sure you've already passed if you know, but to get the guarantee. The Dalton prep course, and I'm sure every course, I know Trang, you did a different prep, right? This last time.
Yeah, so the Dalton one, I also got the guarantee to pass. My work paid for it. Um, I was like renewing for the third time. But what I did, I went to Danko, Brett Danko. It was a really good program. I think what changed was I think I have ADHD. I've never got diagnosed, but I think I have like a lot of, you know, I get distracted and I like sometimes I dive too deep into a topic. But the Danko program was focused on people like me, I guess. And it really got me interested, obsessed with the materials. So, and then I had a few study partners that kept me motivated through the whole time. So I think Michael asked me like, how did I study? I never looked at how many hours I study a day. I looked at what kind. I need to go through all these materials by, let's say, 2 weeks, and then I have to start doing question banks, go through all the questions and answers, and then do the mock. So I was thinking about my schedule up until the 11/11. That was my test date. I didn't think about how many hours I did a day, but I probably did like 8 hours a day for the last 4 weeks, and that helped the most rather than like the sporadically studying here and there before the program.
Yeah, but you can't just do 8 hours a day for a month and then think you're going to pass. There's too much material already, and Trang already has a lot of knowledge and studied this. But the Dalton prep course says it's going to take you about 15 to 20 hours a week of study. Think about that. That's 3 to 4 hours a day. Like if you're going to take a day off, that's at least, you know, that's basically 4 hours a day. So that's a lot. And the key thing is though, you can't be distracted. The same thing. I'm like squirrel, you know, like I get distracted very easily. I have like, you know, 50 freaking windows open on my browser, but you can't do that. Like when you're, and that's where you got to know what's your right time for you. For me, I'm a morning person. So I got up, what did I do? I got up at 5 a.m. and studied. That was my time. That's the only, that, you know, and that typically left my evenings open, you know, if I could. Towards the end, I was like, screw Netflix. Honey, I'm not watching that. Let me, you know, but initially I could kind of have the evenings for the family, you know, but, you know, and I just get my work studies done, then kind of go to the gym, then go work. And then, you know, if I could, you know, bounce back and forth, maybe at lunch, look at a few things, but it's a lot. And if you're distracted, you're wasting your time. So just put your stuff away, go do something, you know, go blow off some steam. For me, exercise a lot of times helps, you know, like it's more of a, even better than for my body is for my mental clarity. So a lot of times I would just be like, I you know, usually I can get focused, but if I don't, I don't try to force myself. One of my best friends in college was like that. He used to just sit there and I'm like, dude, you don't get osmosis by putting your head on the book. If you're distracted, quit, leave, take a break, and then come back, you know. So, but I can't stress that enough. My overall approach to this exam, this kind of might sound weird, but it was humble confidence. And it was kind of frustrating. I was like burning the candle at four ends. I was working a full-time job. I still had the final class for the CHFC to take. This was in April. I took it in July of 23. And of course the day job, it was just like you're about to get ready to deploy and something major breaks, you know what I mean? And it's all hands on deck, you know, just one of those, and tough for immediate corrective actions, and then a lot of long-term, you know, corrective actions to make it work. It was tough, and we were remodeling my office, so that was fun. And it was, yeah, So in middle of May, I was like, maybe I made a bad decision, trying to just knock it out. But I knew the fall wouldn't work for me because that's when we like to vacation. I couldn't imagine being in Portugal and going, I'd be stressing out because, I need to study for the exam. So I just sucked it up. I crushed through that class so that I just had one thing done and only three things to really worry about. And that really helped because then I fell a little behind on Dalton, but it gave me the chance. But as far as humble confidence, it was, and Brian talked about, he's before has talked about this. He was a little overconfident, thinking, I've been in this industry, I can pass this. And then he got his butt kicked. This exam is, and people just sometimes expect me to pass exams, and they don't realize the reason I pass the exams is because it's the work that you put in that makes sure you can pass. And so, but that's where my confidence was. I knew if I just blew it off and kind of, hey, I've taken these classes, I can pass this exam, that I'd fail. But if I put in my head down and did the hard work and followed, what they asked for, then I would pass. And fortunately, I was able to do that. I did have, quite a bit of anxiety building up to it. And I did, one of the things you need to know, and partly because I didn't finish the whole exam bank, I probably finished just over half of it, which sucks. They want you to do it twice. And I screwed up, and I should have known better. You've got to know, how do you learn? I don't learn by reading a text, which is when you look at the Dalton prep course, and that's what I was doing. I was following exactly what they said, but I'm a slow reader, and that's not how I learn. I learn by somebody like going to class, they teach me, and then I quiz myself. And then if I don't get something, I'm like, okay, then I go back and figure out what do I not understand? So instead, I wasted a ton of time reading all this stuff, where what I should have done is just go to the videos, study it, then go take the go into the question bank, take those. When I failed on something, then go look it up and go, okay, what am I not understanding? But that's where everybody's got to know how do you learn best? And we're at least, we all should have an idea, having, none of us are just in high school now. But that's what I would have done. And when I took that, there's a final coaching call. I remember they had right as you did the exam readiness, and they told me like, oh man, it's critical that you go answer all the question bank. I still had like 800 questions to answer. I'm like, pfft. And I had a month, and I was like, you know what? I just blew them off, because what I did instead was I went back and reviewed all the material, because what I knew, like I said before, every question is worth the same amount. And what I knew, if I just focused on that exam bank like they told me, I might hit a couple of those really hard questions, answer them correctly. But there's all these other things that I'd be like, oh man, what was that? This is a simple question, but damn it, I haven't looked at this in 3 months. And so I wanted to avoid that. So I wanted to retouch every concept and everything so that it was all relatively fresh as I was going into the exam. Exercise. Don't forget to exercise. That's, like I said, for me, that's a mental clearing for me. It's, aside from just the health benefit. But I shifted my exercise routine as well. And so if for cardio, as I got in the last 6 weeks, I started just walking on a treadmill on an incline. So I got my zone 2 workout, but instead of jogging or some other thing, just walking, my head was still, and I could watch. Guess what? I rewatched all the office hours, all the classes, and went through those at 2 times speed. So I re-listened to everything twice, basically, and I could do it while I was exercising. Angela, I know you said before, you're like, no, I need to separate, but I think you've actually taken that up too as well a little bit, right?
Yeah, I gotta walk incredible.
But yeah, but it's effective, and actually, look, we're meant to be in motion, and so I think I actually learned better while I was doing that, because your brain, when you're in motion, active, your brain actually is firing better than it is while you're just sitting at a desk or whatever. So that was what I did, and I really liked it. I know Brian also listened to like these. He bought some one of those like CFP, I think prep, it's a bunch of podcasts basically, and he'd listen to that while he was working out. But to me, it was effective to kind of doing, you're doing, making yourself more healthy and you're studying at the same time. Already talked about being focused, and you got to know when your time is, and you, especially, you've got family, they've got to understand the difficulty of this exam and that you need your time completely dedicated to this and no distractions. So if you're a mother and you've got a husband, or he needs to know, he needs to put in his effort taking care of the kids when you need to be studying. So it's just like a family affair, because it's a lot of work, and everybody needs to be on board as well. I was, as I was prepping that last week, I remember I finally felt when I went in, I took it on a Monday, and it was like the last day of that session, which is probably not a great idea in case something came up. But the Saturday I was nervous. Sunday I'm like, I've got this. Monday morning I've got this, and then I had to flag the first 4 questions. Not a good start, but expect that. You know what I mean? Take a deep breath, which is what I did, and said, okay, this could be a longer day than I expected. Let's go. And by the time I turned it in, though, when I hit submit, I was actually confident that I had passed, which I knew I'd done well enough. At least I thought I did. I would have been disappointed if I hadn't. But now let's talk my kind of final 3 to 4 week battle rhythm, because that's, I think, very important. What you do in those that last month, you've got to work the entire time. It's like a 15-week course, but the exam readiness review, we already talked to that. You need to get a 70 if you got the guaranteed to pass, but definitely take that exam. That'll give you, that's your best metric of how you're going to do on the actual exam, even though it's only 50 questions. Aside from that, I would definitely take the Dalton prep course and the CFP board practice exam. The CFP board practice exam is easier and probably a little more realistic of what the CFP exam is going to be like. I think the CFP exam might have been a little bit harder than that one, but the Dalton one's going to be hard. But what those do, and you can take, I would take both the 2 practice exams that Dalton gives, and what that does is, one, it gets you through that length of the exam, because those practice exams are 170 questions. So you get used to the timing. When do I have to use the restroom? How is this going to work? But it's tiring as hell. So don't take it within like 4 days of the actual exam. Take it, have it done, have those all done at least, about a week out, so that you're not stressing exhausting your brain right before you have to go into real game time. Let's see. Yeah, I already mentioned about the coaching call. Like I said, I started re-listening to all the live classes and the office hours, and at 2 times speed, at 1.5, 2 times, whatever works best for you. But I have it in the car. I have it at the gym. I have it. It was, whatever I was doing, I was kind of like constantly listening to repeating what I'd already, attended earlier. Like I said, I also adjusted my cardio to just do zone 2, walking uphill on a treadmill, and I had my phone right there on the treadmill, just sitting there going through either the office hours or one of the live classes, and that I found that to be very effective. I did also, so Dalton recommends you study the ethics portion within 48 hours of the exam. I completely agree with that, because the ethics questions are actually very tricky. They even when they ask about using the financial planning process, they use words intentionally to screw you up and make you think it's a different step. But the ethics, I'd go through it within 48 hours. So that's very fresh because there's a number of questions on it and they're more challenging than I actually anticipated they would be. Let's see. Okay, the brain dump. This is key too. And I know we've dropped that before, but they in the one of the office hours they give some recommendations. But I used the Uber, the financial planning process acronym. I had that. I had options Foursquare chart. That was key. Bond teeter totter. And those what they did was kept me from thinking. I answered like probably 5 questions without even having to think. I just looked at that, like check, and I knew exactly the answer. I didn't have to exhaust my brain at all on some of those questions that could be a bit challenging. The tax formula too, like I did that as well, kind of. So what's what's above the line, what's below the line. That way you just that's not something I like to think about when you're 4 hours into an exam. So I just wrote that down as well. And let's see, those are the key ones that I used. And if you guys need, I can drop the office hours where they recommended some. Anybody else have Trang, you have any other things you wanted for your brain dump?
Yeah, as you mentioned it, I still remember trying to go through it, but I went through the material so many times that I know where it is to go back to look at it because, you can think about the bond teeter thing, right? But then you don't remember like, is it the premium on top or the premium at the bottom? You can't remember, right? So then you go back and I could find it very fast because you went through it, you just don't remember the details.
Well, and I would, that's why I would practice. So those last couple of weeks, practice your brain dump, write it out, not looking at anything so that you know exactly whether it's premium or discount or what have you. So that's why you've got to practice the brain dump for weeks ahead of time. That way it is just a dump. You're like, spit it out. And then you've got all this knowledge on the paper right as you're starting the exam that you can prep. And that works really for anything. Like Nadesh, for you're studying for a major exam, I would do that as well, for just for a regular class when I'm getting ready to take the final, like just brain dump and then, and move on, helps for a lot.
Yeah. So I wrote a bunch of note cards. It's still on my door. It's still
Yep.
there. So you put it everywhere in your house so you can review it, go through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I write note cards because writing down it sticks in your brain far better than typing or anything else, or just like reviewing some pre-made flashcards. So if you can write it down, and while you're studying, if you've only got so much time, if you don't, if something you're like, I don't know that, at least write the concept or the question down, and then you can answer it later. But that way you've got it early on, and then as I would start going through those flashcards those last few weeks. I was something, each day kind of flip through, and then some became like, I know this is so cold, and then I could get rid of those. And then guess what? You can bring those flashcards even into the exam. You have to lock them up, but when you take that break at lunch, you can actually go into your locker and do a quick review. That was something I was kind of surprised about. So anyway, I went in and people say, don't look at anything in the morning of the exam. Whatever. I've always done this. Like I'll still do a little, I'm not stressing myself, but I'll kind of I guess I feel like I'm getting my brain tuned ready, getting ready for game day. So I don't always listen to what people say works, because I found what's effective for me is it's just doing that last little bit. It's maybe nurturing to me or a comfort feel. Let's see. As mentioned, if you can take time off. I like I said, work was crazy, so I could do Wednesday afternoon, Thursday and Friday off, and then Saturday and Sunday. But I would have, if I could, exactly take a week off, take more time off if you can, and just focus on the CFP. And as these last 3 to 4 weeks for studying, I got those quick sheets. I had those quick sheets as part of Guaranteed to Pass, which has all the different kind of a, it's a bunch of, I guess I can share and show you guys. It's got for each, whether it's income taxation or estate planning, it's got basic mini summaries of all the important topics. And so I flip through, not every one initially, but I do like one in one morning, the next another morning. And then I'd start kind of zooming through all of them if I could. I also looked at that, what the CFP board provides you. It's, like the 10 pages that shows, the, granted, most of us know the material, but it shows how much you can contribute to, 401k, IRA, all those different things. But every day, at least the last couple of weeks, look at that every day. Go through every single thing. And why do I say do that? Because when I wish I had a paper copy in the exam, but instead, when you're taking the exam, it's just, you have to click on something and then you have to scroll down, whatever page to find it. But going through that every day, I knew exactly what page it was on, kind of like Trang was talking about earlier. So I knew that was on page 5, and I just scroll down immediately, check, yep, that's what I thought, move on. And so it's all those little things that save you time, so that you don't waste time as well. Yep, I had those printouts in a 3-ring binder, the quick sheets and the CFP handout. And that's also where I kept the Dalton schedule that I kept, and I'd line out, what I did as I went along, keeping track. I was, once again, just like listening to the live class in office hours, I was reviewing all the notes from those, and because there was, just to make sure I touched everything, because some things I'm like, over 3 months, there's so much material, you're gonna forget stuff, and so I just wanted a quick refresh. And I thought that was very helpful, because I think I got all the easy questions right. Let's see, in the 48 hours before, already said, we do the ethics, go through your flashcards and whittle them down to ones that are the key, the tough ones that you want. Case study problems, everybody has a different way of solving that. And those are not easy. There's like 10 to 14 questions in a case study. And so what I did was I read like the first paragraph. So I just had an idea of what the hell the case was about. What is it? Is it a couple in their 60s or whatever? What are we looking at? And then I would scroll down to the bottom of the page, and there'd be like 3 to 4 questions, and I'd answer the questions, and look at the questions, and then scroll back up and try to find the answer, basically, real quick, because you have to go through, like, it's like 3 different, it's multiple. Once you enter those, then you go to the next set of 3 to 4 questions. So it's the case studies suck, but that was how I did it. Was, quick, do I understand this? And then scroll down, look at the questions. So instead of reading the whole case study, I just went and solved for the answers. And then if I didn't know something, because there were so many, I just, at point, just said, answered what when in doubt, see it out, whatever. I'd take my best guess and then flag it and then move on. But that way I wasn't stressed with time at the end. Let's see. If you have the capability, take the exam at a test center. Don't take it at home. I can't imagine having to do that. I know people that were in Alaska that had to, because there was no test center around, but go to a test center. It's just so much easier, and you never know what's going to happen at your house, plus the monitoring, the issues. But if you're going to the test center, do a dry run a week before or 2 weeks before, on the same day at the same time of your exam, so you know how long it's going to take. Is there going to be traffic, etc.? Because the last thing you need to be is stressed out because you don't know exactly where the location is. I went in, I realized also, I learned, guess what? You can drink water in your exam as long as it's a clear bottle. But I only knew that because I went into the test center. I drove in, did a test drive, talked to them about it, realized, yep, I need to show up about a half hour early. And then, saw where everything was. And then I just felt comfortable. It was one less stress that, on game day. So that I definitely do that. If it's out of town, I would go. My wife did this for an architecture exam when we were in Virginia. Go stay the night over there and do the same thing. Do a dry run. Go, don't risk a long commute ahead of this brutal exam. Okay, any questions on that, on just overall kind of my, I guess, study tactics? Did I miss, Angela, forget anything I've said?
I don't think so. One thing I noticed for the Dalton, because I was initially enrolled in to take the exam in November, then I backed out after I took that quiz. I was like, I'm not ready. So this coursework for the March exam, there's actually 2 classes a week instead of 1 class every week. So instead of a 3-hour class a week, it's a 6 hours of class a week. That's a lot. Did anybody else see that, or anybody else that maybe took it in March have the same schedule? Because I mean, the 3-hour class, well, even once a week, was exhausting. I remember by like the 3rd hour, I'm struggling, like trying to keep my eyes open because it was like a 7 to 10 o'clock at night class.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I looked at the schedule. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do that twice a week now. So if anybody else how to go through that too, I would really appreciate any feedback or notes or whatnot. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of information.
That is, those 3-hour classes were long too. And when I was listening to those classes, I had my laptop and like monitor, but I had my iPad, and I would separately, I'd be taking notes on there. But if there's no other questions, let's roll into using OneNote. And I'll share. Okay. So OneNote, this is like, now it's my life organization tool.
Can you, Angela, can replay it at 2 times speed? Like, because everything is recorded, so you can like replay, but sit there, make sure you sit there and then, go through every material. And then if something is, you didn't catch it, then you go back and you rewatch it at 1 time speed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I did, is I listened to it at 2 times speed. Because sometimes, exactly, those 3, sometimes I wasn't even that engaged. Like, life happens, like there's other things that go on. So, but anyway, that's it, re-listening to it when you're not distracted is absolutely key, and at least listen to it twice. So OneNote, when I was getting ready to do my MBA, I was like, what the hell? I haven't been to school in a long time. How the hell am I going to stay organized? And so I was studying different things, like look at the Evernote, and all of a sudden I realized, I looked at OneNote, and I'm like, wow, I use Microsoft Office for everything, Word, Excel, etc. This is compatible, to Microsoft Office product. How perfect. And so I watched this like 50-minute video that talked about how to use it. And I was like, this is sweet. And then I just started playing with it. So a couple of things, and we'll create our own notebook here. But in the MBA course, so basically OneNote is like having a notebook or multiple notebooks with dividers and different pages in there and sub pages, and you can get as kind of nerdy as you want on it. But one of the, like this, you see this book, and I wish I could make that larger. Sorry, let me go view. Unfortunately, it doesn't make, whoops. It doesn't make the side, there we go, 156, this larger, but this USC MBA, that was the notebook. And then underneath here, these are the sections, which you'll also see kind of on the, typically, doesn't show it on the side. But one of the coolest things about OneNote that I learned was it was like for the MBA program, it was based on 10 themes. And in each theme, there was like 3 different classes. And aside from just having a section, which is like a divider and a binder, you can have a multi-section group, which if you look here, I just clicked on theme 3, that's a multi-section group. And then under theme 3, I've got all these different sections. So I always had an admin section, which I did same with SALT and CFP. But here's like leadership and organizational management. So and then under the section, you have pages, and then you can do sub pages. So like I got kind of pretty organized in the MBA, and I would go, okay, what are these teachers doing? Oh, they've got emails, there's deliverables that we have to do, there's case studies that we have to do, and then there's slides. And then I would print the slides to OneNote, it's just like a printer option. And you can print it to OneNote, and then you have the lecture. That's a little bit large, huh? And I can't monitor chat, so okay. If anybody asks me something, just ask out loud. But I would print these to OneNote, and then in class, I would just like on the Dalton CFP, the classes, I would have this already printed to OneNote, and then I would go in and take notes as they're talking. And granted, you can't read my writing, but I can. But I mean, then that goes into your brain much better, and you have all this stuff organized, and it was just great. So, here, another example, you can change your pen color, to whatever you like to highlight it. Like I did that when you're looking at, some of the tax stuff where some of it might be taxed at 25%, and then others taxed at, that kind of thing. I would use different colors that it was much easier for me to follow along when I was reviewing again. See, even here, I put red, whatever. But that was very effective. And then here's my Dalton CFP prep stuff. So I created this notebook in general, and you get more organized as you figure out kind of what's going on. But here was, so here's all the classes I took as well, like for the actual studies. So like Nadej, like I went into each of these classes. This first one is fundamentals of financial planning, and then I had all these different sections here for the different areas. Insurance, I got a little better. Keynotes was my key thing. Now I have everywhere. I have all the information for the CFP. Anytime I want to go back and review it on my iPad, on my phone, it's amazing. So these were all the classes leading up to preparing for the exam. And then on the Dalton Prep course, I had its own multi-section group where this was I just created sections based on how they had it. So we already talked about, they have some infographics, which were kind of good, kind of those quick sheets to review as you got close. And then they have all the different subjects that they talked about, but they had the live classes. So as mentioned, I would print the live classes. And then as I went in to the class, okay. I could just take notes, right? It takes a second to review. I got better at taking notes as I went further on, like down here. But you see all these pages. Those are the different classes that we had. And on the Dalton Prep, they have like class 8, 9, and 10 over several days. But, I could just come in here while I'm listening, take notes on the iPad, and then go back and review it later. Any questions as we're going through this? I know I'm kind of walking through quick. Okay. And then here was the office hours, which these I found very effective. Office hours for the CFP exam, they go into kind of the more complex problems that people have a lot of struggle with, and just focus on those different areas. I think here, is this the one where they had the brain dump? Maybe not, but this is, to me, this was just very easy, very, very helpful. You notice I wrote here extra space to take more notes. So you can come in, the cool thing on this, you can just click, you see, I just click insert and then insert space, and you can go, is it selected? It's not selected. Oh yeah, it was. Sorry. Okay, see that? Now I can shrink that up, or I can add space, insert space, and write more. So, and I'm going to go, so I've got my iPad right here. I'm on my laptop, but I can go, while this is going on, Go to it, CFP. All in front. This is 4th office hours. Okay. Sensitive. Okay. My pen's not working for some reason. Let's see. There we go. You see that? You know, so that's what I would do as we're studying. As they're going through the material, something I want to write notes, I just write notes right then, and bam, it's captured. You see that I'm writing on my iPad now. You guys are seeing what's on my laptop monitor, you know, and but it's such a great tool. And then you're like, oh wait, look at how terrible I write. Let me just erase all that. You can erase it. You can lasso it, so you can move it if you want to. And let's say, okay, let's move that over here. I mean, it's pretty cool. Let's move that back. But it's amazing what you can do. And you know, I can't stress enough, writing notes down by typing or something like that. It's better. Your brain, it's like an extension, direct extension to your brain. Let's see. I think now why don't we go to creating a notebook, so you guys see how to do this. Okay, so pretty simple on here. Just go File, New, notebook name. Let's go CFP exam webinar sample. Okay, so that creates a notebook. Come on. Okay, you can immediately share it with people. So you can share, you can add people's email addresses, and they can share, and they can either edit or just have a, you know, view only version. But you can just say not now. Okay, so now I'm gonna close up this. So now you see this. See, now I've got this new CFP exam webinar notebook down here, and it automatically creates a section. So we can go in here and rename this section. You can just double click in there. It's like CFP section 1. And then if you right click here, that's where you can do the section group, which, like I said, I found that was such a key effective tool to make it way more powerful as far as organizing. So I created a new section group saying CFP section group, we'll name it. And then when you go into that, there's nothing right now. So guess what? You can just create a new section. Inside of that, oops. And then you can create another section. So you can create as many sections in there. Sometimes it's testy when you don't. Okay, section 2, section 1. It's in. Okay, and then you could, when you in this section, we're in section 1. You can add a page. Let's just, and you just title it page 1. You know, I'm just using these simple examples, and you can move that this untitled page. There's all, and let's make this a sub page. Okay, so you can either just move it, like see how I grab I'm clicking down on the cursor and moving it, or you can right click and you can make it a sub page or promote the sub page. So I'll promote it back to a regular page, but that's how you can get even more. You can do sub page, you know, as many as you want, but that's how you can get even more refined on your organization. So does this make sense about how to create it? And then you're in here, you can do whatever you want. You get those electronic copies of your curriculum or what have you, just go in there, you print to OneNote. I'll give an example. I'll do a small, let me do I'll find a small file. I think it. Sorry, I've got too many. Let's go here. Okay, screw it. I'll just do this because it's quick. Okay, so I'm just opening up a Word document, and you can go here, go print, and then you just go select OneNote as your printer, print, and then it'll ask you, where do you want it? Where do you want to put it? And let's go right to the section I was at, the current section I'm in. Yep. So click, click OK, and voila, watch. Bam. Now that's printed to OneNote, ready to take notes on, whatever you want. You can also, let's go back to the sub page. You can also just insert a file. So you can do a file attachment, and let's go, those are too long. Let's do that again. Okay. Now you can attach file or insert printout. Insert, whenever that does that, insert the printout, because it puts the attachment in there anyway. So you got both. Okay. It doesn't say that, but if you only put, and watch in just a second, usually I find printing it to OneNote typically works. It might work better because sometimes it'll do portrait by, like landscape when you insert it. Whereas when you print to OneNote from the file, you typically have better control of it, just FYI. Okay, why is it? What happened there? Something's. Oh, dang it. I don't know what happened there. Okay. I don't know why I did that. Okay, insert. There's some error that I'm not seeing, where you hear that. Just gonna close that. Oh, there we are. I've got some. No, I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, it's just taking a while. Sorry, I'm just being impatient. Okay, I use OneNote for everything. Like it's my life organization tool. So here's my home stuff. So dang it, I'm gonna just cancel that. Sorry, it's annoying me. It's taking too long. But you can just insert a file, do that with Excel, what have you. So my home stuff. I've got okay, here's shopping lists. You guys go to the grocery store, right? Do you order different things all the time? Hell no. You buy the same crap over and over, right? So you can make check boxes and then go in and buy it. Here's my Costco one. I've got Costco. I do a lot of barbecue. So I typically get the same stuff. So when I'm getting ready to barbecue, I'm just like, what do we have? Let me see, what do we need left? I just uncheck. Guess what? Right on my phone, everywhere I go, I've got my checklist. I've got, here's farmer's market when we go there. I've got Trader Joe's. I've got Amazon. Even when we're prepping for gifts, it's all right there. How about recipes? So I've got a multi-section group on recipes. And let's see, I've got barbecue. So I did this for Thanksgiving, some brisket. That was good. And you can actually put in this is like a YouTube video. I'm like, oh, I can just copy and paste that into here, and then I've got it right. I've got everything right there. But here's okay. So chicken. See how I've gotten this poultry. Here's some turkey recipes. Here's some chicken breast recipes. Here's chicken thigh recipes. here's some, oh yeah, my nieces put demands on me for Thanksgiving that I had to do chicken wings as well. So so here's different chicken wings. I did these top 3 recipes just to see which one they like. And but it's all right there. And so you go, what do you guys want to eat? What do you guys like? I'm gonna look up a recipe real quick and show you some.
Can you search your notes, Alan?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So see this search button that there? You can go in and you can search on the page or all notebooks. So
Yeah.
let's see what, 1031 exchange. How do I, bam, there you go. Here's all places that has 1031. And you can go right to it. Here was a takes a second for it to load, but bam, here's the supplemental tax lecture I had on 1031. Exactly. You can go and search. What do you guys, I know, let's do some pork ribs, smoker oven. Okay. So let's go take a look at this. Here's a cool thing. So you guys know the Chrome extensions. So go to Google Chrome extensions and look up OneNote, and you can add this extension and check this out. I just clicked on it, and you can, oh damn it. Okay, I've got a new laptop, so I haven't used that. Normally I don't have to sign in. Oh, it already did it. So you can click the whole page, or you can do just the article so you don't get all the stupid ads and whatever, or you can just click a region, like, okay, get rid of that. But you can, dang it, I'm gonna cancel this real quick so I can get rid of this stupid ad. Okay, but you could just do a region, and so you scroll down and go, this is all I want, wham, and then come in here. Where's that barbecue? Add another page. Pork ribs. Control V, and it goes. Usually it should print it. Let's see. Paste. Didn't, damn it. Okay, that's unusual. Usually it print it. This is a new. I gotta maybe play with some bookmark, but you can do the full page. This is why. You pick where you want it to print to. So let's go here to, actually I'll go to that new, go to home stuff, recipes, barbecue, clip, and watch. In a second you'll see that pop up, the untitled. It's loading. And then it has a link that you can go right to it on the website as well. Plus, this takes a second, but you'll see the whole printout of the entire page with all the details. Or you can just go, how all these, when you look at recipes online, they're like, hey, just print this. You can print it, and guess what? Where do you print it though? Print it to OneNote. So instead of the printer, print OneNote, print, and then it'll pull up where you want to see that. Now let's go to the same section. We'll do it again. And that's quicker. So voila, there's just the straight up recipe. It's so freaking cool. I use this. I have like a diet and exercise one, I get it. I'm a little nerd, I guess, but there's you have all this stuff. So, like diet and exercise, I have F45, this cold plunging, CrossFit, running, rowing, strength workouts. It's you just find the stuff and just print, and everything's organized just where you want it. It's beautiful. Let's see. I can keep
Hey, Alan,
yeah.
I have a question. So there was another notebook app that I had come across. Can this one like create flashcards from a picture or a page? Or does it turn it into anything? I thought it was really useful, and I was like, oh, that'd be great if OneNote could do this, because then I could just do
Um,
everything in
That's a
one
good
location.
question. I'll have to get, I'll put it in the Facebook. I need to see, because I haven't used it for that application, but
Okay.
let's just Google real quick. Can OneNote make flashcards?
You know,
Yes.
course.
Armando, I guess he's not on this call. He helped me out with the tips. He passed, I think, July,
Yep.
and he told me that maybe OneNote or something can create like a podcast for yourself. You can create your own
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Notebook LM, that's the one that someone had told me. And I mean, it does, it literally created a podcasts and flashcards and graphic, flowchart things. And so I was just wondering if this did this, because then it would be nice to have everything in one spot.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna put that down. Flash. I'll write that. Flash. Why is the F not working? Or it's okay. So that's what Google said to do. So now I've just got in a page. um, but yeah, so actually, yeah, it looks like I'd probably use Copilot on that, Angela. That'd probably be the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
So okay, I'm trying to think. What am I not missing? Yeah. Oh, use this OneNote for project plans. Like I'm a stupid HOA board now, treasurer. So I type up the notes, in real time, and then I'd email it to you get minutes, and they're like a week later, you're like, I don't remember what we were talking about. This in 5 minutes, bam. Here's the meeting. Let me know if I missed anything. You know what I mean? And so that's what's cool, because you can take any of these pages and you can just go home, email page, bam. Wait. Okay, I have to play around. Like I said, this is a new laptop, so not sure why that's not doing it, but I've never had a problem. You just click email, type who you want, and send it to them. And it's great. But I use that for like the PM kind of stuff all the time. It was very, very convenient. Let's see, and what else am I missing? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna try this snapshot again, because that's annoying. That made me frustrated that I couldn't.
Were you guys in any study groups during your study sessions, or did you study along with other people?
I would say like the study group is very helpful. I found one friend on here on the Facebook, and we were doing this together the whole time.
Okay, was it somebody you just met with virtually or in person?
So I posted something on here, and then I think I have a WhatsApp group that's created. It's still running.
Okay.
You can message them, and usually you just need one person just to go through. I found that I had a group of like 5 people, but then like sometimes time don't work or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when you have one person that you can like work with their time, like as in she works with my time, and that was super helpful because she kept me motivated, and especially when you went through the question banks, like you did the test, like okay, so today we're gonna do bank number 1, for example, and then we're gonna go through it together, the answers. That was like a game changer, because we'll sit there for 3 hours just to go through each question or for
Okay.
answers. Yeah.
All right. So that was your guys' study method was just going through the question banks together.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
yeah, and then we went through like concept, like let's say the first module, and then we will just flip through the book and see if we had something that doesn't work, and then
Mhm.
I will read something, but I'll read it in a different way, and she'll read it. But then when we combine it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like we didn't catch it in the first way. Yeah.
Got it.
And did you guys see what I just did with doing a print screen and grabbing a snapshot? So that's a really effective tool to use, especially like sometimes not as much on this, but sometimes people do a lecture or something, they'll have slides they won't give out. And you're like, well, I'll defeat you. And as they're going through the presentation, you just snapshot, print, and so you have their whole slide deck anyway. So without them even knowing, but it's a very useful tool to be able to just do a print screen grab and then paste into OneNote. So I just did that with that little Zoom thing you saw. I didn't study with anybody. It was too hard time wise. Like to find, I think to find people that, especially if they're working and they're prepping for this, it's going to be hard. What we did, though, the Facebook group when I was in, we asked a lot more questions to each other. I'm like, hey, I don't get this. You know what I mean? And so it was much more interactive, and it's too silent, on the line, in my opinion, in this group now. It's like, I don't know, be vulnerable. Like we all don't know things. So ask questions if you don't understand something. And that brain trust in there will definitely help, so that's kind of my thought. Just like that Slack channel, Angela, for the MFA. I mean, that thing's awesome,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Okay.
okay, so what did I not hit?
I guess like for this to work, I also noticed like if you have questions, just like copy and paste it on Facebook or
Yeah.
screenshot and paste
Yep.
it, and people will start answering all these questions.
Exactly. So, and that's where, so here's what I did. Speaking of, I'll go back to the CFP exam. So I was going through the exam question, like, damn, that was tough. So here's, come on, pull up. No, that's not what I was looking for. I know I had exam practice. Oh, here we are. Sorry. So exactly. Like I did like, ooh, that was a hard question. So I would, while I was doing I would take a snapshot of the question and like, oh, failed on that one, where you see the big red where I got it wrong. And then I could go back and review it. You know what I mean? In OneNote. So you look through this, check out how many, like all these, even some that I got right, but I was like, whew, that was a lucky guess. That's a tough concept. So you can sit there and copy and paste, and just like Trang was saying, but copy and paste it into OneNote and then put it into Facebook as a question. That's what we did as well. What questions you guys have? Because I know I kind of blew through that pretty quickly, but
I just had a question.
Yeah.
Where is this stored? Is it stored locally on your computer or in the cloud somewhere?
it's so mine. So it's like you couldn't do mine's both actually. So it's on the C drive for the OneNote, and it's on my OneDrive as well. But I would have it on OneDrive on the cloud, because then it updates across all your things. So that's why, like I showed you, I was writing on the iPad and you could see it pulling up on my laptop there, a few seconds delayed. Pretty cool. So that's what I would keep it in the cloud, and then everything's updated. So, and that's where, like, because I use my shopping list on my phone, because that's what I have with me when I'm at the store. But I do most of the stuff on the laptop as far as curriculum stuff. And then, as far as getting organized with the OneNote notebook, and then I use for notes, I typically use my iPad for taking notes. I'm a lefty as well, so I write that upside down retarded way, and so it doesn't work on a screen well for me. So I take my laptop like this, and then, you guys can see, and just that's how I manage that. So, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Let's see. Oh, I mean, even like Nadej traveling. I like when we're looking for a trip. I like you can, I've got vacation stuff here. So things we're looking at, like where do we want to go next? You can start doing your research and just keep it all organized there. And I've got travel. Same thing when you go traveling, right? There's same things you bring all the time. Depending, if it's winter, you add some things, summer, different things, but you always bring your toothbrush, your floss, your, all those things. So why just not have a checklist already ready to go? Always. So it just makes life easier. this is a book I'm going to write eventually. But I have here's where I kept notes of all the psychological experiment of the USS Jacksonville. Ooh, that was crazy times. But yeah, so I mean, here I just got notes, so so I don't forget things, and then it's just there. This was an entrepreneurship course, which for those veterans, military spouses, IVMF has an incredible amount. Aside from like PMP, HR, and all the certifications, they also have a ton, even more entrepreneurship stuff from initial ideation to growth. And so all different kinds of things. But this was the veterans in residence. Is that a stupid name for an entrepreneurship course? Like, I was like, what the hell does that mean? But anyway, it was pretty cool. They had like all these different all the different classes, all the different basic things you see for business. Okay, feasibility. Yeah, of course, I always keep an admin section, so you keep emails, whatever, from the course. Here's your opportunity canvas, like, hey, business. This was, I wish it would show, but it could just do all the different things. Your value proposition, marketing. This is something I hated when I was transitioning. They talked about your brand. I'm like, what's my brand? I don't know. I'm a submarine officer. Like, like I just don't think we teach that well. But by the way, this is what we should be teaching people, in my opinion. This guy from LSU, I'll put this in the chat. It's a 40-minute, and because I think it takes you a while once you're out of the military to know what's your real brand. Like, I was like, I don't know, I'm a servant leader, but I'm not going to say that, because everybody I know that says they're a servant leader is a complete opposite. Like, yeah. So I think it takes time to figure out your real brand as you leave the military. But where is the chat? Okay. So, but this 40 minutes is what we need to be teaching people about branding, in my opinion. And it's so good because it talks about he's funny as hell too, but he talks about his default look, and it's hilarious. He's getting the LSU football team ready for press day. He's like an NBA teacher, and he's got this 275 pound badass linebacker that doesn't want to talk to this scrawny little professor because he says he's mean. It's a good listen if you guys want to, and just shows how much of your personal brand is just about how you appear and how you talk, your tone, and all that stuff. But that's, I think, what we should be teaching people on transition, rather than go build your own website and blah blah blah. And so anyway, I'm opinionated, as you can tell.
Is there any YouTube videos that were especially helpful? I mean, there's a lot of CFP, videos and links and stuff. So was there any specifically that you guys found useful that you would always go to anytime you had a question and you're like, oh, let me see if there's a video about this? And they're like, oh, I always go to this person.
Ask Brian that in the Facebook group, because there's something he bought that was good. I know a lot of people like Biff Bites.
Yeah, okay. I've been listening to them.
That's one.
Yeah.
Trey, any thoughts there?
Okay.
I didn't, though, otherwise. I mean, I kind of went with the material, and
you're also a nuke, so you read it, you memorize it. So
I didn't. So if you can stick with one material, because you can get confused, but then or some people in my group were looking at advice wise. There's this lady that she dressed up just like a CFP colors, and she talks about.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so she's pretty clear on certain things, but then just like something to like dress your brain a little bit, she's okay. But I get confused with some materials because I'm sticking to Dalton or like a certain material, and then she's talking about different ways, so that confused me. But you can listen to her for just to rest your brain, because she'll have like 90 minutes power review before the exam, something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, I came across that one today. I didn't get through all of it, but and I did notice like going through American College, some of the stuff that I learned a certain way, and now Dalton has it a different way. And so it's kind of like learning things from scratch almost. But
On those, so like the education, that's one of those where I remember the
literally,
same thing. So
exactly.
try it, try a couple problems each way and go,
Okay.
what makes sense to you?
Anyway, which is shorter is better for me.
Dalton's is shorter, but
Yeah.
does it make sense? That's the thing though. Does it make sense to you? That's what
Yeah.
I need. I need to, it needs to make sense to me, not that I've just memorized something and hopefully I keep it memorized. I need to understand the concept. And then if
Yeah.
I understand the concept, then I'm good to go.
Well, I gotta run, but thank you, Alan, for
Mm.
setting us up. And I'm
Yes,
happy
thank
to like give back, all my tips and tricks that all this years. So, feel free to message me. I think you can just message on Facebook and I'll take a look at it. I'll see it, but you can find me on Facebook as well on Alan's group. And I'm happy to share anything or like connect you with the ones that are retaking because some people in my group didn't pass, so they're doing it in March.
Mm.
So I'm happy to connect you guys and then just, have a good partner to go through this whole together.
Yeah. And the good thing about March is it's the same material. It's 2025 stuff. They don't jump into 2026.
Yeah,
So
try not to get the OBBB.
Yeah.
but,
Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate, giving your time.
yep, you're welcome. And keep the
Yeah.
you guys, hopefully I see more questions in the Facebook group because I found that to be helpful for us, and
Okay.
it's kind of that support network. I didn't have study partners, but that helped, you kind of keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you
okay.
guys.
Well, thanks
Have
everyone.
a
Yeah.
Excellent.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
Yep, yeah,
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank
Same.
you.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.